sicker than your average. Watch me civilize a savage. Hot, sicker than your average. Watch me civilize a savage. All the same phrases, copy and paste the cadence. The same subject matter. I guess if the beats are hot, it just don't matter. But I'm from a different school. Adult rhymes and deep thought. Where talent couldn't be bought. Self-taught skills and real writers. Laid ways to boost and mic wires. I had to keep this flow simplistic, just so the slower minds could get it, and weak cats wouldn't get credit. Hip-hop is going out, if this is where we're headed. I got to go and did it. Hot, sicker than your average. Watch me civilize a savage. Hot, sicker than your average. Watch me civilize a savage. Originality seems to be a casualty of these days and times. For manufactured sounds and lines, seems like it's all by design to keep us dumb, deaf, and blind. Water down the culture, get us all addicted to fame. We don't own the music, just a name and a chain. Victor the Harlem's tricks, not to mention the politics. We make our artistry because it's more of the dollars and cents. But look at what happened to Mike, Jack, and Prince. Best believe we can't let it come to this. Hot, sicker than your average. Watch me civilize a savage. Hot, sicker than your average. Watch me civilize a savage. I set out to spit phenomenal, to separate myself from the comical, to stimulate the brain. Do like Birdman, put some respect on my name. I got my own lane, verbal chemist, sound theorist. Clearing the fog so you can see through the mist. Cutting through the statistics with the flick of the wrist. Phony MCs that persist to phone it in. Tell the real MCs we on again. Authentic author, because it's all about the culture. It's all about the culture. Hot, sicker than your average. Watch me civilize a savage. Hot, sicker than your average. Watch me civilize a savage.
And welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Jay Vaz, and you're listening to the Jay Vaz Show, music and entertainment at its finest. We got a special guest with us today from North Carolina. Before we get you there, make sure you follow us on all the social media pages at the Jay Vaz Show. Check out the website, thejvazshow.com. Make sure you follow us on all the social media pages at the Jay Vaz Show, as we said, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Jay Vaz Show. If you're an independent or an up-and-coming artist and would like to be featured on the show, hit us up at artists@thejvazshow.com. All of those links are on the description of the podcast. And let's get right into this. As we said, from North Carolina, NCC Records own Mr. J. What's going on, man? How you doing?
What's good? Everything's good. Everything's lovely.
Man, it's how you guys dealing with all the craziness going on right now, man, with the COVID? How's that affecting you guys?
Well, it's affected some shows and some different, events that we were trying to plan. And right now, we're just trying to figure out how to do it creatively and how to be able to, probably do socially distanced events and figure out how we put all that together.
Yeah. It's something, I think it's something totally different that I don't think none of us were prepared for, to be able to work around it, man. It just kind of, 2020 alone has been a crazy year, man. But we'll talk about that here in a second. Let's get into the interview, man. Let's get to know you guys. First of all, NCC Records. You're the CEO of NCC Records?
Yes.
All right. So we're talking to the man right now. NCC Records. What exactly does NCC stand for?
It's North Carolina Commission Records.
All right, North Carolina Commission.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shit, you guys been doing this for a long time, man. Like I said, I did dig up some of your history, and let's take it all the way back. When exactly did NCC Records come about?
Well, we officially put it together probably about 98 or somewhere in there. My first venture into the studio was probably about 94 or so, and we just, from having a large group of almost, growing from 4 people to almost 32 at one point. I just figured I needed to know, what the business was about. Back in, I guess it would say probably about 94, 95, we had a development deal that kind of came through with Warner Brothers, but we didn't really know what that was, and it wasn't really leading to anything permanent. That didn't necessarily mean we were going to get signed or anything like that.
Gotcha.
That just kind of meant if they saw something, then maybe they take it from there.
Yeah.
And having different shows and different things that we had put together, and having different, I guess, entities and managers and so forth wanting to deal with us, and us, kind of getting jerked around a bit, that just made me even more, interested in forming my own company and forming my own label, to try to weed out all the nonsense.
Okay. So on top of being the CEO of NCC Records, okay. Well, before I get there, before NCC Records, what was the label called, or what was the group called? I mean, obviously you're Mistajay. Were you just like a solo artist, or was this a whole different group with a different name?
Well, I started off, as a solo artist, and then, we brought a group together. That at that time was called the Omega Clan. Like I said, it started as 4 members, and then kind of ballooned up to, a 32 group, collective of rappers and singers at that time. And, it just kind of dwindled down after a while, back to, the most original 3. And then we added a member later on, probably about 2001 or so, when we changed the name to the Empire.
Empire. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk about the current members. I know you said you guys were at one point where it's about 34. You guys are more. The current members, if I'm correct, we have obviously you, Mistajay. We have Fifth Letter. We have Speak No Evil and Prince Imperial, I believe. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
that's the current makeup of the Empire.
So these are the 4. You guys are the 4 members left from the bunch of the 32 that were at one point, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what made or what clicked different with you guys than the other 32 members that you guys are still working together, still putting work together? What do you think was different as far as, not just the style, but maybe the hunger of wanting to put work out?
Well, I think, growing up, you realize that, certain people just kind of were there from the moment. They saw the momentum. They saw a lot of things that we were doing, saw the shows that we were putting together, saw the attention that we were getting, from, labels and different managers and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it just kind of, petered out because, they didn't see the hard work that needed to be put into it. They just kind of saw the fame and maybe something big would happen for them. Eventually during that time I had went off to college, and was still doing shows and putting shows together myself. And, Prince Imperial, who was my brother, he was kind of down here waiting on me to come back and do some things. And once I got out of college, I kind of came back and did a couple of shows and things like that. And, Fifth Letter, who had been down originally, he was from another collective called the Wheaties, and was, in and out of Omega Clan, but, he had since joined the Air Force. So he had a little bit more discipline on, how to keep things, in perspective. And through him, we met another individual, Speak No E, who was also in the Air Force at the time. So, we collectively clicked to, bring out the album, The Dark Ages. And it just kind of spawned that kind of kinship and brotherhood from there to try to continue to try to do music as much as we could.
The Dark Ages. This was released back in 2007, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this, 2007 don't even seem like that long ago, but this goes to show you how long you guys been putting in work. You guys initially started Empire Music back in '94. You did have the Empire come out in 2004. Obviously, you have the Dark Ages 2007. You mentioned something earlier that kind of caught my attention, and I wanted to bring more attention to that. You mentioned Warner Brothers offered you guys a development deal. First, for the people who don't know, especially for the independent artists that might be listening that don't know what exactly a development deal is, can you explain to us what that was or what that meant at the time?
That meant, when they really don't have A&Rs and things like that today, like traditional A&Rs. Those people would develop artists. They would, help you, develop your sound or develop a look that the label would find, marketable, or the record and the business would find marketable, and if all that clicked to where they wanted to use you, then they would sign you, and then you would have, an actual deal. But,
right.
A development deal doesn't guarantee you anything. You could have something and put everything together and put an actual project together, and nothing happen and nothing go forward.
Yeah. So it's basically trying to mold an image to see if it works for the industry, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
All right, got you. So, all right, so Warner Brothers approached you guys about this. You did mention it wasn't something, obviously, that you guys were interested in. Why was that? How come you guys weren't interested into trying to become whatever they were trying to mold or whatnot?
I think at the time we were just, we were so green and not understanding the business. I think if we were just guided by anything else, we probably would have jumped at it and jumped on it, let it take us wherever we thought it could take us. But basically, we had been jerked around before. We had lost money through managers who said they were going to do certain things for us, and had our parents and stuff, and we were young at the time, invest in that. So we had a little bit of knowledge that we were going off of, and that just led us not to take that route.
Yeah, I got you. So let me ask you this, man. If you would know what you know now, would you still have passed on that deal, or would you go back in time and be like, okay, I'll take it?
I think, knowing what I know now, I think we would have been way further along, and I think it would have been no reason for us to take that deal. We would have probably either, been established as far as, fully functioning label. So it would have been a different situation. And, we probably would have been looking for more of a partnership than a development deal.
Gotcha. So it basically would have opened up the door for a better option, so to speak. So in your opinion, just because, even though it was a quote unquote development deal, it's still a big deal to be approached by a company like Warner Brothers, right? So what do you think sparked that interest to them, or why why were they so interested in trying to get you guys into this deal?
I think the interest sparked from not just the music, but some of the other people we had operating with us at the time. We were probably one of the first groups to really have access to the internet, and try to put something together that would catch somebody's eye.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. All right. So they saw the hunger and saw the vision, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So now, as an artist, how did that help you? Because again, even though you didn't sign with them, it still has to be a cool feeling and more motivating to keep pushing to know that you were approached by Warner Brothers. So how did that help you guys as a whole, as artists, if any?
It just made us, want to go back in the studio even more. Want to try to do more shows, around the town at the time, and just try to put something together that was, way more professional and way more thorough.
All right, so it was more motivating. So I was checking out y'all's music, and you guys are more lyrical, especially than what we have out nowadays. That's one thing I do want to compliment you guys as far as being lyrical artists. So let's take it back to the older projects. You guys put out The Empire in 2004, and then you guys put out The Dark Ages in 2007. Comparing those two projects, what was the biggest difference in that 3-year span from Project 1 to Project 2?
Well, Project 1 really was kind of putting us together. You know what I mean? A project, the NCC Records presents The Empire. Really, we hadn't even had dealing with Speak No Evil yet. It was just myself, Prince Imperial, and Fifth Letter on that project, and trying to put different things together. Excuse me. And just, really just trying to find a sound that worked for us. I think the second album, The Dark Ages, was definitely a more cohesive product. It was definitely a more full thought out vision, of what we wanted to do and what we wanted to say. It was definitely a theme to that entire album.
Gotcha. It was a better image, I guess, better put together. So speaking, like say Speaking No Evil wasn't part of that first project yet. How exactly do you think all of you guys complement each other as a group? Because obviously, as we mentioned earlier, it was 32 something in you guys, and you said, these 5 were originals. Some of them saw the actual vision for the love of music. But as far as being artist alone, how do you feel one complements the other?
I think all the different styles and all the different voices kind of, balance each other out. I think, you could have one person who tends to go in one direction so hard that you can lose an audience. We're definitely balancing each other out with our voices and our thoughts, and definitely I think you see a lot of that on The Dark Ages. We were able to kind of we struggled to kind of get it together. You have those kind of push and pull, give and take on what we wanted to do on the album and how we wanted to put it together. But once it came together, it was definitely, all of us a full vision. And I think that's something that you lack, to hear now, especially nowadays.
Yeah, correct. So speaking of nowadays music, let me ask you this, man. Being that you guys are lyrical artists and can bring something completely different to the table, basically better content with meaning behind it, with everything that's going on right now with police brutality and stuff, how important is it to be able to get a message across, since you do have a voice compared to your neighbor next door who doesn't? How important is it to be able to bring those messages out?
I think it's very important. Chuck D used to describe hip hop as the urban CNN, and that's something that's once again is lacking. We used to be able to tell stories that kind of gave people a real picture of what was going on, and that's something that you don't hear all the time.
Yes, especially in today's hip hop, it's very rare.
And I think it's needed. It's definitely needed. You need to have that balance. You can have the party, you can have the trap, you can have the gangster, but you got to have all those things balanced out.
Yeah. So
you can have that with the message at the same time.
So now that we're here, man, and we're talking about the styles and whatnot, since you have been putting work since the '80s, um, how do you feel, in your opinion, that hip hop has changed, man? Besides the fact that there's no message behind it, and what do you think made it change?
I think corporate America made it change. I think, when you have no real independent stations that play music, that's why I think shows like yours are important. Internet radio is important. You have to have, once again, that balance, what I'm saying, to be able to not have, corporate America kind of take over music and, decide for the streets what's important and what's really, a wave.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. See, and that's something that I preach, man. Not just because we are an independent station, but because especially back then, it was hard to get interviews. It was hard to bring light to the independent artists, because if it wasn't a major station, or if you weren't popping like you were supposed to, then you weren't getting an interview. And I think nowadays, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think nowadays people like the artist, don't care too much about the music. So if I bring light to a certain artist and they like his opinion or his personality, then they're more likely to support that artist, even if he's an independent.
Yeah, I think if you connect with your audience, it definitely changes your trajectory. I think there's a lot of artists out here who, producers as well, who just put a whole lot of stuff out, a whole lot, things out, and just kind of throw it against the wall and see what sticks. And that's a big problem, because intellectual property is only worth something if it has content, if it keeps well, if it has a shelf life. What I mean? If you're just throwing out stuff that just kind of sticks and they can't relate to you as well as your music, then it's kind of over.
Yeah, it's over for you. So let's talk about music now. Let's get strictly into music. You have a single out right now called "Trolling for Nothing," correct?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that single, man. Why the title "Trolling for Nothing"? How did the idea come about?
Well, it was basically just a line in the song, and the artist I work with, Young Hunt, who's also on the song, he came up with the hook and just kind of incorporated it. I mean, the whole thought of it is, there's a lot of people out here, artists who just, for the effect of trying to get their name out here, instead of, trying to build themselves up or, give people a vision of who they are, they're just out here trolling. And, sometimes it leads to, no success at all. Their moment in the spotlight is fleeting, if at all. They're doing mixtapes or whatever, or, starting beefs, and doing all that just to, put their mixtape out that they just did in a day, and released it at midnight. But it's for no reason, because it's not going anywhere. It's just, more beef, more violence, more whatever, just for nothing.
For nothing. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Instead of helping them, and there is just really making them look bad. So that's the current single that's under you. What else you guys got going on as far as the group, or maybe Fifth Letter got a project, or what else? What else are you guys cooking up right now?
Well, right now I'm trying to finish up my album. We're probably in the process of trying to see if we can re-release Fifth Letter's album that he had out called "A Long Time Coming." We're going to try to do that within the next 4 to 6 months or so. And like I said, my album is coming out hopefully before the end of the year. We're trying to finish everything up. COVID is definitely interrupting some of that process.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to finish the last 3 or 4 singles. We had a single before that called "Round Professionals" with Pace One, who used to be, with Eminem, Outsiders, back in the day, when Eminem was first coming out. So,
Yeah.
We got that single, and I got a couple more that I'm trying to hopefully release before then. That's Trollin for Nothing. We're definitely trying to get the most out of it. And it's going to be on the album, and it's going to be on a soundtrack, or maybe two before the year's out. We definitely know it's on the Savage soundtrack. It's a movie that I had a small little bit part in, directed by a guy named Tef Illuminati, and he's from the RCR Empire. It's a little hood flick and independent flick that's supposed to be out within the next month or so. So we got some things in the fire we're trying to make happen.
Yeah. That's a nice look, man. To get your the single played on on the movie, whether it's independent or not. That's a nice look, especially like you said, COVID's kind of holding you back. So to get that little extra push, that's definitely a good look.
Mm-hmm.
What about music videos, man? You guys got any music videos coming out? Any visuals?
Like I said, we got the Trollin for Nothing video out right now. We definitely want everybody to take a look at that and check it out. Of course, we still have the No Better Than This video for the Empire. That's also out. Definitely check that out. Also a video with me and Pace One for the Round Professionals. So.
All right. Well, as a matter of fact, where can they find the music video? What's the YouTube link?
They can go NCC Records, The Empire, or they can even go to our website www.empiremusiq, empiremusic.com.
All right, we'll make sure we link up the links to the YouTube channel and the links to the website that will be on the description of the podcast. You guys can find that on there. So as far as social media, man, do you guys got a group, Instagram? Is this like individual? Where can everybody find you guys on social media?
Definitely tell them to check out NCC CEO on Instagram. We'll have all the other, prerequisite links there, and they can go to the website as well to find our other social media, and also go check us out on Facebook, NCC Records, The Empire.
All right. Once again, all those links will be on the description of the podcast. You guys can find that on there. Give them a follow on Instagram, give them a follow on Facebook. And again, check out the music videos on YouTube. Check out the website so you guys can keep informed of everything that's going on with NCC Records. Hey, man, I forgot to ask you this, when we're talking about the developmental deal and whatnot. If it wouldn't have been for music, what else would you be doing, man? What else are you passionate about?
It's always been about business. Some form of business. Some franchise or something. Trying to get some other business off the ground, probably. And even in the midst of doing music, I probably still would be, trying to pursue, some of these other things. In addition, I've been putting on shows, so I have been a promoter, at times, so that I probably would be, doing that as well. You want to be able to have as many irons in the fire as possible, especially trying to do music. You want to be able to do it as free as possible and not have any constrictions on you. If you're worried about how certain thing is gonna, sell because you have to appeal to a certain group or think you have to appeal to a certain group to sell, it's going to be a problem. So, I would always want to be able to free myself up to do, music the way I feel, and to work with artists who want to be able to do music the way they feel.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I used to have a friend that he was heavy into music, and he used to tell me that back when we used to do music, he used to be like, "Hey man, you want to make music that feels good to yourself." He's like, and in the process, it's awesome that you can have us being Hispanic. He's like, it'll be awesome to have a white dude and a black dude to wake up the next day and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go pick up so and so's project." He's like, but that's only gonna happen if you stay true to yourself. You can't push try to connect to everybody, because then it's not gonna be genuine.
No doubt. I think that's another thing, like you were asking about. The amazing thing about our group is that we have diverse voices. You know what I'm saying? We have black people, and we have a Latino member, and we have a white member of the group, and we're able to kind of bring those different voices and different viewpoints together.
For sure. Yeah, that being diverse, it brings everybody's fan base together and whatnot. So you being an OG in the game, man, before we let you go, what would you tell a young up and coming artist as far as their grind and what to do to stay consistent in the game? Because like I said, you guys been putting in work for a long time, especially yourself. So what would be your advice to anybody coming up right now?
Network. That is the biggest thing. I think, a lot of times people just try to go at this thing alone. You got to create and build relationships and try to, do things that are going to help people out. You know what I mean? If you can, and it's not even necessarily monetarily. You may just have some time, or maybe just be able to lend an ear or something. You know what I mean? Just try to network with everybody and create, as many relationships as possible. For
sure. Network helps the net worth. Remember that. And shit, once again, man, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you making time for us, man. It's kind of dope to have artists, especially, we're out here way in Texas. So anytime we get artists that, we get from outer states, it's always cool to, to hear their story, artists we might not be familiar with, or our fan base might not be familiar with. So again, we appreciate you. Make sure you guys follow them on all the social media pages. Again, we will have all the links on the description of the podcast. We'll link you guys to the music, to the website. Most importantly, the website. That way you guys can stay updated to everything that NCC Records got coming on. So once again, that was Mr. J from NCC Records. Check out the new single called Trollin for Nothing. And again, check out the website. Stay up to date with every project that's coming out. He does have an album coming out, so make sure you keep your ears and your eyes open for that. Once again, Mr. J, we appreciate your time, man. And thank you guys for making time for this interview and giving us a background to your story, man. We appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the love, man. Appreciate it.
Go and get your Bible. If you unprepared, this life will give you an eyeful. Too many trolling for nothing. Underwear cats out here is head hunting. Wolves with the heat. That heat will leave you slumped over in your front seat. Now you got your ticket punched when you should have been about the beats. World out of reach. Pastor giving you his last speech. All cause you beefing for a hit. Treating the game like it's like a lick. Talk slick, then get your wig split. You get one warning to stay off the strip. Next time, them bow and arrows will leave you zip. Treating the game like it's like a lick. Talk slick, then get your wig split. You get one warning to stay off the strip.
I got so much to deal with. You got no choice but feel this. Our fans got hands up, yours still sit. Take them on a field trip, going to the top tip. I got so much to deal with. You got no choice but feel this. Our fans got hands up, yours still sit. Take them on a field trip, going to the top tip. Going to the top and I can't look down. I see a bunch of hate, but it's just those clowns. They hate what I make, I stay by the cake. Gotta make it shake, when you broke, you break. Never worry about what I can't control. Focused on my goals and every day I'm praying for my soul. I got glow, I got flow. You know what you know, if you don't, you slow. These streets got no love, played by no code. Boys on the corner and they all getting blowed. It's unfair prepared, no signs of being scared. I dressed up in army fatigue gear. Circle so small, no room for a square. Keep trolling, they might put you in a chair. Forward focus, I'm riding till I need a spare, yeah. I got so much to deal with. You got no choice but feel this. Our fans got hands up, yours still sit. Take them on a field trip, going to the top tip. I got so much to deal with. You got no choice but feel this. Our fans got hands up, yours still sit. Take them on a field trip, going to the top tip.
The voice of the underground.